I'd always praise the manager for at the time. Obviously, you got to manage all these really good players and big characters. I always felt, generally speaking, particularly with team talks and coming around the football side of it, I always thought he said the right thing at the right time for all the team.
Welcome to the Big D Speaks. Today we are going to be watching Roy Keane and a clip from his appearance on The Overlap with Gary Neville and the team. And today he's actually going to be talking about Alex Ferguson, and he's going to be giving his brutally honest opinion on Alex Ferguson, the good and the bad. It's a very interesting little clip, and I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the situation as well. And if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. But let's not hesitate, and let's get straight on to Roy Keane talking on The Overlap. Here we go.
You've spoken about the boss in terms of how it ended, but in terms of sort of why were Manchester United, obviously had great players in the dressing room, but what was his greatest strength that you saw when you were there? Because obviously he was amazing as a manager.
Yeah, the one thing I'd always praise the manager for at the time, obviously you got to manage all these really good players and big characters. I always felt, generally speaking, particularly with team talks and coming around the football side of it, I always thought he said the right thing at the right time. For all the team talks, hundreds and hundreds of team talks, to kind of get it right, mostly, I used to go, I like that. I like the fact he's just got that balance right regarding, being tough or being fair or whatever with people. And I know that caused him trouble when I was a bit younger, whether it be going drinking or going missing or whatever, or being late for training, whatever that might be the case. But my issues always towards the end and my anger I always had at the end when I left was, I felt I'd done nothing wrong, and I still have that. It'd be different. If you do something wrong, you hold your hand up, and I've done lots of things at United wrong. Absolutely, I don't sit here for 1 minute thinking, "Oh, I was this great pro." Far from it. And my role at Man United is greatly exaggerated, 100%. But my issues at the end was like, and I know everyone's got an opinion. I think I've done nothing wrong. That's the bit that's where I have the hang-ups. Where I thought it's well and good going, I'll back support players, and then I've got to do what's right for the club. No. What about the players? Do what's right for the players.
But going back to the bot where he used to say the right thing, I agree with that. He'd come alive on match day. Have you got any examples where you can remember sort of like that thing where he tap into you or he tap into someone else?
Well, obviously, I always say about the Spurs one, but also there was games where he would maybe pull a couple of senior players. I remember we played Liverpool in the cup final where Eric scored, and he called 2 or 3 of us in, and he was chatting about lads, McMahon. He was always worried about him, and I was sitting at the end. I think he asked Eric and 1 or 2 other, and he got to, I said, I don't really care. I said, we'll get on with it. We'll do what we have to do. And he asked me about getting man to man, obviously in certain areas, and I was like, yeah. So the manager would get feedback off players as well, whether he's really taking it in, or again, I go back to it when we played Spurs that time at home. I remember again as a player and as senior players, with Spurs coming up with lots of games, and he came in the dressing room one time. I remember thinking, do not give us a 20-minute chat about Spurs. We don't need it. Hopefully he'll know what the players are. And he came in, he went, lads, it's Spurs. And he walked out, and we're going, fucking perfect. No, but just reading the room, just going, sometimes you need a chat for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But just reading what the players needed going. And I remember thinking,
Rod, do you think if you had a kind of, if you did go and have some tea with him and chill with him, do you think...
No, I don't see that. No, I don't see that. I think it's a silly thing to be thinking about. No, I think that's not good.
Does it hurt you, like that ending? It must hurt you. You were there so long.
Yeah.
You give everything. You were captain. It was your club. The ending.
Yeah, I get my anger. It's obviously a long time ago, but my anger, the worst anger you can have is the justified anger. Again, where you feel, I feel I had wrong. Mm-hmm. And that's the bit. No, I was 34. I had a broken foot. My contract was coming up. It was an easy fix for United to go, your days are numbered. All right, cheers. Mm-hmm. Right, thanks a lot. And I've seen players leave, but I could have left in the summer. I had no hang-ups about leaving in the summer or going, am I getting another sneaky deal here? No, I'm a big boy. I can deal with it. It was all the way it was done. It wasn't nice. That's the bit. Not that I had to leave Man United. No, that's life.
Yeah.
I was 34, and again,
I see respect element.
I think the way you've just said that, I'm nothing to do with Man United. And I got asked about this a couple of weeks ago, because of Mo Salah and Jurgen Klopp on the side of the pitch. And obviously Jurgen Klopp's going, and who knows what Salah's doing. There's this thing of like, you don't want to see those two figures or legends of the club.
Feels
and
uncomfortable.
I totally get where you're coming from. But for me, standing outside, even as a Liverpool player, I had so much respect for you as a player and the manager. And I almost feel it's sad that I know, I'm not saying whose fault it is. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors. But actually seeing those two giants of Manchester United It makes me sad as a football fan.
Yeah, but the easiest thing in the world at the time, and obviously it was my decision ultimately, because my contract, I still had a few months left of my contract till the summer. But I still don't get how a manager who I'd worked with for such a long time, and there's two sides to every story, I had no problem with that, and it's give and take. I think I was good for the club and the club were good for me. How a manager with all that experience can't sit down with a player, and I've been a manager, made mistakes with players, can't sit down and go, listen, come the summer. But it was all the way it was done, Jamie. That's the bit. And that's my stuff. Listen, that's my stuff. And Gary was there. And people have opinions about it. There was stuff went on in the summer before that. My hamstring, 1 or 2 issues of pre-season with Kieros and Ferg. And there was stuff going on. I look back and go, and there'll be lots of stuff I look back and maybe I'll never understand. Maybe I'll never get to the bottom of it. And I'm fine with that as well. And maybe as I get a bit older, I look back and go, well, that maybe makes sense. But I still don't understand. And when I hear a manager going, I've got to do what's right for the club, I'll argue a little bit going, what about the players who've done well for you? Why not do right by them? And I'm not saying look after them. I'm saying how we can't sit down. Remember, Jamie, I almost have to remind people, I left in the middle. I couldn't go to anybody. I left in, was it October?
November.
October, November?
Yeah.
I'd come back from a broken foot with a broken Anfield. I couldn't go to another team. I'd only 6 months. How a club can't sit down with somebody, and I've seen other people leave on bad terms, and that's fine, that's life. Listen, nobody died, but you can't sit down and go, listen, right, it's got a bit. I'm getting statements passed across me. Ferguson saying, oh, you can go to another. I'm getting all this feedback, and there's cash flow problems. There can't be any. I'm sitting going,
cash flow problems at United.
About when you're talking about terminating your contract and all that carry, and I'm looking going, really, and I got my back up as well. Listen, an older me now might go, let me. If I was giving someone advice about for me back, I go, hey, step back for the weekend.
Well, I was going to
take
say
it
that.
all in. But this was all happened within my solicitor, Michael Lanny, who done my deal. Eventually, I mentioned earlier, Forest, and done all my deals at Forest. Most relaxed, placid man you'll ever meet. He done all my deals. I've seen him negotiating. Very, very good man. Knew a good deal, and he nearly fell off his chair because Ferguson and Gill went, I think we've come to the end, and here's a statement. Right. And he was like, what? I was like, leave it, Michael. And they went out, and I said, yeah, I'm out of here. And he's going, he couldn't believe it. All within 10 minutes.
How did that feel, bro, in that moment?
No, but I just think if people think that little of you, I'm not then going to go, well, I'm going to see my contract out. Because, believe it or not, I thought too much of the club. Because I could have easily gone, is that what you think of me? But I'll see my contract. I'll come in every day, and I wouldn't have been a nuisance. I wouldn't have been a bad lad around the place. Absolutely. But I could have said, I'll see my contract. I'll go in the summer. And it won't be as... Because obviously, after back of what happened with Ireland with the World Cup, the first thing then people go, oh, listen, hell, he's lost the plot again. Yeah. It was like, no, the club are sitting in front of me, David Gill and Ferguson, going, oh, yeah, we've done a statement. Yeah, we think we've come to the end. I said, well, yeah, we've come to the... I should have easily... In hindsight, listen, this is all lovely. We've come to the end, yeah, but I've got a contract with Man United, just like you have a contract with Man United. Just see... I could have... But me... Listen, when you're on about principles, but when something like that's in front of me, I go... I'm like disgusted with people. Yes. I go, I wouldn't even want to see you again. And that's what I was home. I was home about 9:30, 9:45. My wife goes, what's happening? I went, it's over. Right. And no deal was. I still hadn't done my determination. Or Michael sat in with all that, and Michael was like, I can't believe what's happened. And then statements came out, and then I found out that day I couldn't go to another team, so I couldn't play till January. If I'd known that, I would have said, I'll just train with the reserves and get myself fit. So I leave Man United, having not played for 2 or 3 months with a broken foot. And I can't go to anybody till January. Wow. So I was in no man's land.
But right, it's a shame, that situation. I remember when it happened at the time, to be perfectly honest, as a United fan watching United at that time, I did actually feel that Roy Keane it was probably best that he wasn't at Man United anymore, because he just wasn't the Roy Keane of old. The game was running past him. He even admitted himself in 2003 in the after United played Real Madrid in the Champions League quarter-final, when Ronaldo famously scored the hat-trick, Brazilian Ronaldo that is, he just got dominated in midfield by Zidane, and he said in that game he felt as though, words to this effect, he felt as though that he was done with top-level football at that point because the game just ran past him. And it's no coincidence that after that particular game, he adapted his game to be more of a sitting midfielder that would dictate the game and whatnot, a bit like what Paul Scholes ended up doing. But I think it was best that Roy Keane left at that particular time. He was too big of a personality. It's no coincidence that Paul Scholes and Ryan Giggs They stayed at United for so long, even though they were long past their best, and it was because they were quiet lads. They were quiet. They didn't ruffle any feathers or anything like that. But Roy Keane was just too big of a personality, and his ability at that point just wasn't good enough to warrant putting up with the personality side of Roy Keane at that time. So I totally understand Manchester United's point of view, Alex Ferguson's point of view, and I kind of agree with them. It was best all around for Man United that he left at that time. And it's no coincidence that as soon as Roy Keane left, the rest of the team kicked on. The younger players started to express themselves a little bit more. The team became more dynamic, and then we won the league within 18 months. So, yeah. By that same token, I understand Roy Keane's anger. I understand his resentment. I get it, because this is the clash between the personal and the business in football. And as we all know, football is a ruthless business. There's millions and millions of pounds at stake every single day. So ruthless decisions need to be made. And unfortunately, Roy Keane was on the receiving end of this in this particular instance. But at the same time, they paid him up for the rest of his contract, and they gave him a testimonial in the summer. So I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, there's nothing more Manchester United could have done business-wise to appease Roy Keane. If we're just looking at them from a business point of view, they did right by him. They paid his contract up and they gave him a testimonial. So that would have been a nice big payday. I think all Roy wanted was just a man-to-man chat. But then again, at the same time, this man-to-man business, look what happened with Kenny Dalglish. He shook Kenny Dalglish's hand, said, "I'm going to sign for you," and then 48 hours later he's signing for Man United. So I don't understand Roy Keane's... I personally don't understand why Roy Keane is so bent out of shape about this for so long.
United trying to negotiate with me, and I'd left my solicitor doing it, and it was bizarre, because we were like, how much do we ask for? It was the Bosman
just come in, and
the Bosman just come in. It was all. Was Matt Manaman one of the first ones to go? He went to obviously Madrid. So it was all of it. We were kind of in no man's land. But they rang me, and the way you ask about contracts, and the way I learned, and I learned when I went up to Celtic, I always say to people, I call it self-worth. Not being greedy, I just think what a deal might be worth to me. But when Michael was negotiating for me one time, and I remember he rang me, he got summoned to a meeting in London. I always remember when I was at home, and he said, "Yeah, I'm with I think it was a Sir Roland Smith. Remember, he was the chairman of the PLC, and Michael got summoned because my contract was up in a few months. And Michael rang me home, and I remember I was at home, and he says, "Right, United will go." I remember he saying they'll go to 2 million. They'll give you 2 million a year, and I'm at home going, "It's not bad." 2 million. So yeah, I could hear Michael at the end. Yeah, I know you're disappointed with it. Yeah, I'm in front of the board here, and all right. And by the end of that afternoon, Michael rang me on the Sunday evening, ringing me every hour or two. Yeah, I'll do. And he got back to me the Sunday evening. He says, "Right, they'll go to," I think he said 3.75. So it was 2 that morning. And he said, "They'll give you 3.75. Now, I think that might have been one of my first kind of big deal, really big deal, real big deal. Because I signed one more deal after that, I think, with Peter Kenyon before I left. So, yeah, Michael would negotiate. And I think maybe Ferguson and people at the back were probably looking, going, you know. But that was the Bosman rule. I was just going, if you're going to give me that. And I had opportunities to leave, as you know. Bayern, listen, I could have got a lot more money. I'm not playing the poor mode. But I had options to leave United. But I always had a soft spot, and I felt comfortable that we were always competing at United. But, yeah, I did negotiate well. But I had somewhere to negotiate with. Mike, like I always give Mikey credit for getting me a good contract, but I was the one getting the contracts by the way I played.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's just said there that he was negotiating, he was getting as much money out of Man United as possible. So it works both ways. Roy Keane was able to dictate terms at one point in his career. Unfortunately, at the end of his career, he wasn't able to dictate those terms because he wasn't the Roy Keane of 99 anymore. I love Roy, I do, I love him. But, I don't know, let it go, mate. Shake hands with Sir Alex and just remember the good times, the trophies that you won. I mean, David Beckham did.